I've made many videos about smartphone addiction and the negative effects of social media on our society because the two are now irrevocably intertwined. I woke up yesterday morning, I got on the train to work, and I took a look around me. I saw people zombified on their phones. About 25% of people were engrossed in their handsets. Now, to be fair, this seems perfectly fine. It's no different to people reading newspapers or books on public transport. But as we all know, there's something a mite more sinister about the smartphone phenomenon. There's a little game I want you to play. It's called Spot the Smartphone User. The next time you go anywhere, and I mean anywhere, down the street to your nearest city or town, whether you're stuck in traffic, in a restaurant, pub, cinema, in the park, or in the gym, I want you to count how many people are either on their smartphone, holding their smartphone, or talking on their smartphone. I mean, people really can't be separated from them. It's like an extra limb. Once you are primed to see people with blank expressions on their faces, heads down, their grip tightly fastened to these rectangular devices, you will never be able to go back to not noticing this. And I guarantee you'll find it just a little bit disturbing. Now, it's clear that smartphones are an amazing piece of technology of science fiction proportions. From software to hardware, they're all-round genius. And the devices themselves are not the problem. It's what they do to their users. It's the addictive features and the applications that are the problems. The detrimental impact they have on concentration levels, social skills, and the anxiety experienced from dependency on them. Now, when I've raised this issue before, there has been some people who have disagreed with me, which is fine. It's a free world, and I respect everyone's opinion. I've been criticized for being a Luddite, and when I took this argument to an extreme, citing a potential Orwellian dystopian nightmare world from the development of products like Google Glass, I received many comments saying that I was being hypocritical because I was using the very technology I was bashing. So I'd like to address this concern. I love technology and have done since I saw my first Star Trek episode. I'm a big fan of what the technology can do for us, but not a fan of what it does to us. In my criticism of the convergent technologies of smartphones, social media, and Google Glass, I was not also lumping in all other technologies with them. To believe that that was my intention is an oversimplification of my original argument. My iMac allows me to create videos and be creative. Facebook is a place where people effectively live in a virtual reality world removed from their lives. I'd also like to take my justification for this reasoning a little bit further. I really fear for the future, the children being born now, digital natives as they are known. They will never know what it's like to live in a world without smartphones or iPads, which again, in itself, isn't a problem. I don't know what it's like to live in a world without the motor car, microwave, cooker, dishwasher, vacuum cleaner, radio, or the television. But I don't get cravings to sit in my car or use my microwave. I don't become anxious in public or when in conversation with a friend in a restaurant that maybe I should go home and microwave some popcorn in a manner similar to how an addicted smartphone Facebook user would rudely pick up their phone in mid-conversation to check if someone had liked an inane comment they'd made about what they're eating at that moment. When people say to me, Dave, you're leveling the same arguments at smartphones and Facebook as previous generations have towards the mass consumerization of television or any other form of entertainment. Again, this is an absolutist interpretation of what I'm saying. I don't have any problem with any of these products, but it's important to make a critical distinction here. Facebook is not entertainment like television or radio before it. It's supposedly a form of communication and socializing, and as I said before, a great many people are using it to replace real-world interaction. They are using Twitter hashtags to begin conversations with their friends that they really should have in a more fulfilling and meaningful way in person. Now, television, cars, and microwaves contribute their fair share to pollution, but besides that, they aren't a big problem in how we socialize. We should absolutely invent machines to do boring, painful, or dangerous physical labor, or to carry out number-crunching tasks. But I don't think we should invent machines to replace our social abilities. If we do, think about what's left. What's left of our humanity if we lose the very things that make us flesh and blood? To quote Sherry Turkle in her TED Talk Alone Together, not that long ago we were trying to figure out how we would keep computers busy. Now we know that once we networked with each other, once computers were our portal to being with each other, we really don't have to worry about keeping computers busy. They keep us busy. It's kind of as though we are their killer app. It seems that people are as busy now as CEOs of corporations were 20 years ago. I mean, does the average Joe really need a personal organizer app to manage their daily lives? There's so much distraction, so many online social media services to be invested in. The remaining bandwidth for your attention is very small. Furthermore, smartphones have also blurred the lines between work and home. Many companies now expect their employees to check work emails while commuting at home, after hours, or on weekends, because they can, and employees feel the need to do it in order to either look busy or deal with their increasing workloads. The problem with this is, although it may make people initially fairly productive, over time, when this unwritten rule becomes a requirement, personal time will be a relative term. The employee will be given more work, and the added advantage that they gain from being able to respond to client and customer emails or do work from home will be gone. Technology is an excellent means of communication, but there's a big difference between communicating and socializing. When you see all these people compulsively reaching for their smartphones when driving a car or walking down the street, occasionally glancing upwards to check if they're going to bump into someone, you get the sense that the next logical step is the integration of this technology into their bodies. Already, smartphones are kind of part of people. Google Glass and devices like it will bring the technology and social media even closer to them. Ocular implants, or maybe even brain chips of the 22nd century, will take this further again. And if you think I'm being overdramatic, just look at where we were 40 years ago in computing terms. Go back just 10 years ago or 15 years ago. No one could have predicted the advancements we've made. The next generation could be enslaved to social networks for their emotional validation. How cut off from reality do people need to become before we recognize there's a problem? The degradation of the meaning of the word friend and the devaluation of face-to-face communication, this is what we've already experienced. The consumer technology sector is booming, so it's easy to justify its continued growth, and as long as it makes money, we'll continue on down this road for the foreseeable future. I can completely empathize with someone who says that if they leave their mobile phone at home, they will feel anxious because they won't be able to contact someone in an emergency. I totally get that. It's a very useful tool and a hard one to dispense with. I have a big problem, however, when someone says that they would feel anxious about leaving their phone at home because they won't be able to stay connected with people on social media, a place where the level of interaction is incredibly shallow. It's troubling to think that people can't go extended periods without being able to receive likes, pluses, hearts, posts, and retweets. The problem with making any kind of argument or putting forward an idea on the internet, and especially YouTube, is that people believe that you want your opinion to be 100% vindicated and you won't accept being wrong, even if you are. You will be close-minded and only accept evidence that supports your argument. You'll only listen to studies and research that you want to believe to be true. It's basically confirmation bias. Hell, there's even a like or dislike button for people to effectively vote if they agree with you or not. Realistically, I don't have much ego invested in this. Believe me, there is no one who wants to be more wrong about this potential future than I do. I'm merely raising my concerns in the hopes that people recognize the negative effects of the ubiquitous technologies of the digital interconnected age. If I go to bed tonight and slip into a coma to awake 30 years from now and find that all is right with the world and smart devices, ocular implants, and cyborg-like technologies didn't drive humanity into enslavement and social degradation, I will be genuinely ecstatic, although rather bummed at now being 60 years old. So as a result of this, I've decided enough is enough. I have no problems with smartphones or people who use them, but would like to exert my own control over how I interact with the internet and not the other way around. I've purchased a new phone, a non-smartphone. That's right, I'm downgrading from my iPhone to a Nokia 113, because when I walk down the street, I'd like to see where I'm going. That's it for now, guys. As always, I'm very much looking forward to your comments on this topic. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.